Ivy, we're through. Grant's voice echoed through the kitchen, where I stood with a dish towel in hand. Through? What are you talking about? I asked, feeling the ground shift beneath me. I'm leaving you for Vanessa. We're done, he stated coldly, and I've never loved you. The words hit me like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me. I gripped the counter, struggling to process what he'd just said. After 20 years of marriage, he was leaving me for another woman and claiming he'd never loved me at all. Grant's expression was devoid of emotion, his eyes cold and detached. I've already moved my things out. Vanessa and I are getting a place together. But why? I managed to choke out. What about our life together, our vows? He shrugged dismissively. It's over, Ivy. I want something new, something exciting. Vanessa understands me in a way you never could. As the shock began to subside, anger bubbled up inside me. You coward, I spat, running away to some younger woman instead of having the decency to try and work things out. Grant's lip curled into a sneer. There's nothing to work out. I'm done pretending to be happy in this sham of a marriage. That's when I noticed the bare spaces on the walls, the framed photos and artwork I'd carefully curated over the years, all gone. A sick feeling twisted in my gut as I realized the extent of his betrayal. You've been planning this for a while, haven't you? I accused. Stealing my art, draining our accounts. He didn't even try to deny it. I've taken what's rightfully mine, this house, the money. It was never really yours, Ivy. You were just playing house while I built a real life. White-hot fury coursed through me, but I forced myself to remain calm. Get out, I said, my voice trembling. Get out of my house. Grant smirked. It's not your house anymore. But don't worry, I'll have my lawyer send you the paperwork for the divorce. With that, he turned and walked out, leaving me alone in the wreckage of my life. I sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face. How could the man I'd loved and trusted for 2 decades have so thoroughly deceived me? Worse, he'd made it clear that our entire marriage had been a lie, a sham, as he'd put it. But even as the pain threatened to consume me, a small flicker of determination began to burn within. Grant might have taken everything from me, but he wouldn't take my dignity. I would rebuild, reclaim what was mine, and emerge stronger than ever before. With shaking hands, I reached for my sketchpad and pencils, the only possessions Grant hadn't stolen. Drawing had always been my solace, my escape, and now it would be the first step on my journey to reclaiming my life. As the pencil glided across the paper, I poured my anguish and rage into the strokes, creating a powerful, visceral image that captured the essence of Grant's betrayal. It was raw, unfiltered, and utterly cathartic. This was just the beginning. I might have lost everything, but I hadn't lost myself. And with each stroke of the pencil, I felt a little bit stronger, a little bit more resolved to rise from the ashes of my shattered life and build something new, something better. Grant might have thought he'd broken me, but he was wrong. I was just getting started. In the days following Grant's abrupt departure, I found myself reliving every moment of our marriage, searching for clues I'd missed about his deceit. The signs had been there, his late nights at the office, the increasing emotional distance, but I'd been too blind to see them. I remembered the first time I'd suspected something was amiss. It was a few months ago when Grant came home well past midnight, his shirt rumpled and a faint whiff of perfume clinging to him. Working late, he'd mumbled, brushing past me without so much as a kiss. At the time, I'd chalked it up to stress from his job. Grant was a prominent businessman in our community, always juggling multiple projects and deals. But now, the truth was painfully clear. He'd been carrying on an affair right under my nose. As the days wore on, more evidence of Grant's betrayal surfaced. Bank statements revealed he'd been siphoning money from our joint accounts for months, stashing it away for his new life with Vanessa. The house, the cars, even my beloved art collection, all of it had been meticulously transferred into his name alone. I was left with nothing, not even the security of a roof over my head. Grant had made sure of that, stripping me of every asset and leaving me to face potential homelessness. The cruelest blow came when word of the scandal began to spread through our close-knit community. Suddenly, I found myself the subject of whispered rumors and pitying glances wherever I went. Friends I'd known for years turned away, unwilling to associate with the woman whose husband had so publicly humiliated her. Lila was the only one who stood by me, her unwavering support a lifeline in those dark days. "Screw them," she said fiercely when I confided my fears of becoming a social pariah. "You did nothing wrong, Ivy. Grant's the one who betrayed you, not the other way around." Her words gave me strength, reminding me that I was the wronged party in all this. I hadn't asked for Grant's deceit or for my life to be upended so callously, but I could choose how to respond, and I chose resilience. With Lila's encouragement, I poured my pain and anger into my art, creating raw, visceral pieces that laid bare the depths of Grant's betrayal. Each stroke of the brush, each smear of paint, was a cathartic release, a reclamation of the identity he'd tried to strip away. As the canvases piled up, a new sense of purpose took root within me. I would not let Grant's actions define me or dictate the course of my life. I was more than just his discarded wife. I was a talented artist with a voice that deserved to be heard. It was during one of our late-night painting sessions that the idea first took shape. "We should have an exhibition," Lila mused, surveying the powerful, emotive pieces I'd created. "Let the world see the truth behind Grant's lies." At first, the thought terrified me. Putting my work, my pain, on public display felt like a vulnerability I wasn't sure I could bear. But the more I considered it, the more it appealed to me. This was my chance to take back control of the narrative, to share my side of the story on my own terms. And so, with Lila's tireless support, we began planning the exhibition that would change everything. Little did I know, it would also lead to an unexpected reunion that would reshape my life in ways I never could have imagined. After the devastating revelation of Grant's affair, I found myself grasping for any semblance of support or understanding. In my desperation, I turned to the one place I thought I might find it: Grant's parents, Harriet and William. It was a mistake. From the moment I arrived at their stately home on the outskirts of town, the tension was palpable. Harriet greeted me with a thin-lipped smile that didn't reach her eyes, while William remained silent, his jaw clenched. "Ivy," Harriet said coolly as she ushered me into the living room, "to what do we owe this visit?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "I'm sure you've heard about Grant and me, about what he's done." Harriet's expression hardened. "We're aware of the situation, yes, though I can't say I'm surprised." The words stung, but I pressed on. I was hoping maybe you could help me understand why he would throw away 20 years of marriage for some fling with a younger woman. William finally spoke up, his voice gruff. "You were never good enough for our son, Ivy. We tried to tell him, but he wouldn't listen." The blunt cruelty of his words left me reeling. "What are you talking about? Grant and I built a life together, a happy life." "Did you?" Harriet's gaze was withering. "All I ever saw was a woman more interested in her silly little art projects than being a proper wife and homemaker. Grant deserved better." My hands clenched into fists at my sides. "So you think I deserved to be betrayed? To have my entire world ripped apart because I dared to have a passion outside of cooking and cleaning?" "Of course not," William said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "But can you really blame the boy for seeking companionship elsewhere when his own wife was so clearly dissatisfied with their life together?" The implication was clear. In their eyes, my love for art made me an inadequate wife, and Grant's infidelity was simply the natural consequence of my supposed failings. Harriet's next words drove the knife in deeper. "Vanessa, on the other hand, seems like a lovely young woman, devoted, supportive, the kind of partner Grant should have had from the start." White-hot fury coursed through me. How dare they sit in judgment, acting as though they held the moral high ground? These were the people who had raised the man who'd so callously shattered my world, and yet they had the audacity to blame me. "You're despicable," I spat, rising to my feet. "Both of you. Your son is a lying, manipulative coward, and instead of holding him accountable, you've chosen to enable his behavior and attack me instead." Harriet opened her mouth, no doubt to unleash another cutting remark, but I didn't give her the chance. "Save it. I don't know why I expected anything different from you two. You've made it perfectly clear where your loyalties lie, with the son who tossed me aside like garbage after decades of marriage." I leveled my gaze at them, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. "Let me make one thing clear. I am not the failure here. Grant is, and if you can't see that, If you're so blinded by your antiquated notions of what a proper wife should be, then that's your loss, not mine. With that, I turned on my heel and stormed out, slamming the door behind me. Hot tears streamed down my cheeks, but they weren't tears of sorrow. They were tears of righteous anger, fueled by the knowledge that I had done nothing to deserve such cruelty. In that moment, I made a vow to myself. I would not let Grant or his poisonous family break me. I would rise above their pettiness and their judgment, reclaiming the life and identity they had tried so hard to diminish. And as I drove away from that wretched house, the first seeds of my revenge began to take root. After the disastrous confrontation with Grant's parents, I found myself at a crossroads. Part of me wanted to curl up and surrender to the despair that threatened to consume me. But a stronger, more defiant part refused to let Grant and his toxic family break my spirit. It was Lila who helped me find my way back to myself. "You need an outlet," she said firmly one evening as we sat in my makeshift studio, the canvases I'd painted in the aftermath of Grant's betrayal surrounding us. "All this pain, this anger, you have to channel it into something positive." Her eyes roamed over the raw, visceral pieces, taking in the bold strokes and clashing colors that laid bare the turmoil within me. "Your art has always been your sanctuary, Ivy. Don't let that bastard take that away from you, too." Lila's words resonated deep within me. She was right. Art had been my constant companion, my escape from the harsh realities of the world. Even when Grant had tried to diminish and belittle my passion, dismissing it as a frivolous hobby, I had clung to it fiercely. It was a part of me, as intrinsic as breathing, and in that moment I vowed that Grant would not rob me of that solace. I would use my art to reclaim the identity he had tried so hard to strip away, transforming my pain into something beautiful and powerful. With Lila's steadfast support, I threw myself into my work, pouring every ounce of anger, sadness, and determination onto the canvas. Each brushstroke was a defiant act, a declaration that I would not be broken by Grant's cruelty. It was during one of those cathartic painting sessions that the unexpected happened, a knock at the door, followed by a familiar voice calling out, "Mom, are you here?" My heart leapt into my throat as I flung open the door to find Caroline standing on the doorstep, a hesitant smile on her face. "Caroline!" I gasped, pulling her into a fierce embrace. "What are you doing here?" She hugged me back tightly, her voice thick with emotion. "I heard about what Dad did. God, Mom, I'm so sorry." Tears pricked my eyes as I held my estranged daughter close, overwhelmed by the rush of emotions her presence stirred within me. Caroline and I had grown apart in recent years, our relationship strained by the controlling influence of her father. But in that moment, none of that mattered. She was here, offering the support and understanding I so desperately craved. As the days passed, Caroline became my rock, a constant source of strength and encouragement. She marveled at the powerful pieces I created, her eyes shining with pride and admiration. "You're so talented, Mom," she murmured one evening as we surveyed my latest work, a haunting depiction of the shattered remnants of my marriage. "Dad never appreciated you, not really. But I do. I see the passion, the raw emotion you pour into every stroke." Her words meant more to me than she could ever know. For too long I had allowed Grant's dismissive attitude to diminish my self-worth as an artist. But with Caroline's unwavering support, I began to reclaim that part of my identity, letting it fuel my resilience and determination. Together, we delved into the creative process, sharing our struggles and triumphs as mother and daughter, artist and kindred spirit. With each brushstroke, each shared moment of vulnerability, the bond between us grew stronger, healing the rifts that Grant's controlling behavior had created. As the canvases piled up, each one a testament to my journey from despair to defiance, a new sense of purpose took root within me. I would not let Grant's betrayal define me or dictate the course of my life. With Caroline by my side and Lila's steadfast friendship buoying me, I would emerge from this crucible stronger, more resilient, and more certain of my worth than ever before. With Caroline's support and Lila's unwavering friendship, I found myself emerging from the depths of despair, my resolve strengthened by the powerful art I was creating. But it wasn't until Lila proposed the idea of an exhibition that I truly began to see a path forward. "People need to see this, Ivy," she insisted, gesturing to the canvases that lined the walls of my studio. "Your work is raw, honest. It captures the pain and resilience of what you've been through in a way that words never could. At first, the thought of putting my emotions on public display terrified me. These pieces were intensely personal, born from the darkest chapters of my life. But the more I considered Lila's suggestion, the more it appealed to me. This was my chance to take back control of the narrative, to share my truth with the world on my own terms. And so, with Lila's tireless support, we began planning the exhibition that would change everything. We secured a small gallery space in the heart of town, and I carefully curated the pieces that would be showcased, a visceral journey through the stages of my betrayal and subsequent transformation. The night of the opening, I was a bundle of nerves, but the moment the first guests began to arrive, something shifted within me. As they moved through the gallery, taking in the raw emotion captured on each canvas, I saw their expressions shift from curiosity to understanding, from pity to admiration. Word of the exhibition spread quickly, and soon the small space was overflowing with visitors. Local reporters and journalists arrived, eager to cover the story behind the powerful works on display. And with each interview, each article published, the truth about Grant's deceitful actions began to emerge. It was during one of those interviews that the unthinkable happened. Vanessa herself appeared, her perfectly coiffed facade cracking as she took in the searing depictions of Grant's betrayal. "You lied to me," she hissed, rounding on Grant, who had been hovering uncomfortably in the background. "You said she was the one who pushed you away, that your marriage was already over." Grant's eyes widened, his carefully constructed facade beginning to crumble. "Vanessa, please, let's discuss this privately." But Vanessa was having none of it. "No, Grant, I'm done being your pawn, your little secret. Everyone deserves to know the truth about the kind of man you really are." And with that, she turned to face the gathered crowd, her voice ringing out clearly. "Grant manipulated both of us. He made me believe his marriage to Ivy was loveless, that she had pushed him away with her obsession with art. But now I see that was all a lie, a cruel fiction he constructed to justify his own selfish desires." The room fell silent, all eyes on Grant as the weight of Vanessa's words sank in. He had played us both, using our vulnerabilities against us to escape the life he claimed to despise. In that moment, I felt a surge of vindication, of righteous fury. Grant's carefully cultivated facade was crumbling before our very eyes, his true nature laid bare for all to see. And as I looked around at the faces in the crowd, I saw something shift in their expressions. The pity and judgment that had once clouded their eyes gave way to understanding, to solidarity. They saw me not as a scorned woman, but as a survivor, a woman who had channeled her pain into something beautiful and powerful, refusing to be defined by the actions of a man who had never deserved her in the first place. It was in that moment that the tide truly turned. One by one, members of the community began to approach me, offering words of support and admiration. Local artists and patrons pledged their backing for future exhibitions, their respect for my resilience and talent shining through. As the night wore on and Grant slunk away in humiliated defeat, I found myself surrounded by a network of support, a community that had rallied around me in a way I never could have imagined. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would never be alone again. In the aftermath of the exhibition, the ground had shifted irrevocably. Grant's carefully constructed facade lay in ruins, his true nature exposed for all to see. But even as the community rallied around me, offering their support and admiration, I knew the battle was far from over. True to form, Grant refused to accept defeat gracefully. Within days, he began a desperate campaign to salvage what remained of his tarnished reputation, lashing out at me in a series of increasingly hostile confrontations. "You need to retract your lies, Ivy," he snarled during one particularly heated argument at my studio. "This little pity party of yours has gone on long enough." I met his glare with steely resolve, emboldened by the outpouring of support from those who now saw Grant for the manipulative snake he truly was. "The only lie here is the life you sold me for 20 years, Grant. The people know the truth now about your affairs, your financial treachery, all of it." His eyes narrowed dangerously. "You're going to regret this, Ivy. I'll make sure of it. But I refuse to be cowed, not anymore. Save your empty threats. You have no power over me or anyone else anymore. Your reign of deceit is over. With each confrontation, each pathetic attempt to intimidate me into silence, Grant only succeeded in further alienating himself from the community that had once revered him. His desperate ploys to reassert control only highlighted the depths of his narcissism and cruelty. And as word of his behavior spread, the ranks of my supporters swelled. Influential members of the community, patrons of the arts, local business leaders, even politicians, began to rally around me, pledging their backing for my future artistic endeavors. It was during one of these meetings, as I sat surrounded by a veritable who's who of our town's elite, that the true extent of Grant's downfall became apparent. One by one, these pillars of society shared their own stories of being manipulated or deceived by my former husband, their eyes filled with a mixture of anger and regret. He played us all for fools, one prominent gallerist admitted, shaking his head in disgust. But no more. It's time we made amends and supported the real talent in our midst. As the others murmured their agreement, I felt a surge of vindication course through me. Grant's web of lies and manipulation had finally been laid bare, and those he had once charmed and deceived were now firmly in my corner. In the weeks that followed, the support only grew stronger. My art became a beacon of hope and resilience, resonating with those who had faced their own struggles and emerged stronger on the other side. Commissions and invitations for new exhibitions poured in, each one a testament to the power of my story and the raw, emotional honesty of my work. And through it all, Grant remained a peripheral figure, a cautionary tale of what happens when ego and selfishness are allowed to run unchecked. His once formidable reputation lay in tatters, his influence reduced to a mere shadow of what it once was. As for me, I stood taller than ever before, bolstered by the knowledge that I had not only survived Grant's betrayal, but had emerged from it stronger, more self-assured, and more determined than ever to forge my own path. The ultimate showdown had been fought, and I had emerged victorious, not through intimidation or manipulation, but through the sheer force of my resilience and the unwavering support of those who had seen me for who I truly was. And as I looked ahead to the future, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them head-on, secure in the knowledge that I was the master of my own destiny. In the wake of my public triumph over Grant's machinations, a profound shift took place within me. The shackles of self-doubt and insecurity that had once bound me fell away, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose and determination. As the outpouring of support from the community continued to swell, I found myself buoyed by the knowledge that my story had resonated with so many others. Women from all walks of life reached out, sharing their own experiences of overcoming adversity and reclaiming their power. It was during one such conversation with a group of these remarkable women that the seed of an idea took root. We had gathered informally at my studio, swapping stories over glasses of wine, when one woman spoke up hesitantly. "Ivy, what you've accomplished, using your art to give voice to your pain and emerge stronger on the other side, it's truly inspiring," she said, her eyes shining with a mixture of admiration and a lingering sadness. "I only wish I had found that kind of outlet when I was going through my own struggles." A murmur of agreement rippled through the group, and I was struck by the weight of shared experience in that room. Each of these women had faced her own battles, her own demons to conquer, yet few had found a constructive way to channel their emotions and begin the healing process. That's when the idea crystallized, an art therapy program, a safe space where women could explore their creativity and tap into the cathartic power of self-expression. A place to find solace, solidarity, and ultimately, the strength to reclaim their lives on their own terms. The more I discussed the concept with Lila and Caroline, the more convinced I became of its potential to create real, lasting change. Caroline, in particular, was a driving force behind the project, her own experiences with Grant's controlling behavior fueling her passion to help others break free from the shackles of emotional abuse. "This is about more than just art, Mom," she said, her eyes alight with determination. "It's about empowerment, about giving women the tools they need to find their voice and take back control of their lives." With their unwavering support and the backing of an ever-growing network of community advocates, the art therapy program took shape. We secured funding, found a suitable space, and began spreading the word, inviting women from all walks of life to join us on this journey of self-discovery and healing. The response was overwhelming. From the first session, the studio was filled with a palpable energy, a shared sense of purpose that transcended age, background, or personal circumstances. Here, within these walls, we were united by a common goal: to transform our pain into something beautiful, something powerful. As the weeks passed, I bore witness to countless transformations, each one more inspiring than the last. Women who had once been beaten down by life's cruelties found their inner strength, channeling their emotions into breathtaking works of art that gave voice to their struggles. And through it all, the bonds of friendship and solidarity only grew stronger. What had begun as a safe space for creative expression blossomed into a true community, a sisterhood of resilience where no one was ever alone in their battles. The support from the wider community only added to the momentum. Local businesses and organizations rallied behind our cause, donating supplies and funds to help us expand our reach. Prominent figures in the art world lent their expertise and guidance, ensuring that our program remained a beacon of hope and empowerment. And at the center of it all was Caroline, her unwavering presence a constant reminder of the unbreakable bond between mother and daughter. Together we had weathered the storm of Grant's betrayal and emerged stronger, our relationship forged anew in the fires of adversity. As I looked around at the vibrant, ever-growing community we had built, I couldn't help but feel a sense of profound gratitude. What had begun as a personal journey of healing had blossomed into something far greater. A movement, a testament to the indomitable spirit of women who refused to be defined by their struggles. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, united by a shared resilience and a fierce determination to create a world where no woman ever had to suffer in silence again. As the art therapy program took root and blossomed, I found myself in a state of near constant awe at the transformative power of creativity and community. What had begun as a deeply personal journey had evolved into something far greater, a beacon of hope and resilience that resonated with women across the region. Everywhere I went, I encountered stories of lives forever changed by the simple act of picking up a brush or molding a lump of clay. Women who had once been shattered by abuse, betrayal, or personal tragedy now stood tall, their eyes alight with a newfound sense of purpose and self-worth. "This place saved me," one woman confided during a private moment in the studio. Her haunting self-portrait, a study in shadow and light, spoke volumes about the demons she had faced and ultimately conquered. "For the first time in years, I feel like I have a voice again." Her words resonated deeply within me, for they echoed the very essence of what we had created here. This was more than just an art program. It was a sanctuary, a space where the silenced could find their voices and the broken could begin to heal. As word of our work spread, the community support only grew stronger. Local businesses and organizations rallied behind our cause, donating supplies and funds to help us expand our reach. Prominent figures in the art world lent their expertise and guidance, ensuring that our program remained a beacon of hope and empowerment. And at the center of it all was Caroline, her unwavering presence a constant reminder of the unbreakable bond between mother and daughter. We had weathered the storm of Grant's betrayal together, emerging stronger and more resilient than ever before. It was during one of our quiet moments together, as we surveyed the vibrant, ever-growing community we had built, that Caroline turned to me, her eyes shining with a mixture of pride and love. "Look at what you've created, Mom," she murmured, gesturing to the women around us, lost in the throes of creative expression. "You've given them all a voice, a way to reclaim their power and their sense of self." I felt a lump form in my throat, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what we had accomplished. "We did this together, sweetheart. You were the one who helped me find my strength when I thought I had none left." Caroline shook her head, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "You've always been strong, Mom. Grant just tried to make you believe otherwise, but now—" She swept her arm around the studio, encompassing the incredible tapestry of resilience and transformation that surrounded us. "Now the whole world can see the truth. You're a force to be reckoned with." Her words filled me with a profound sense of pride and peace, a knowledge that I had not only survived Grant's betrayal, but had emerged from it a better, stronger version of myself. The shackles of self-doubt and insecurity that had once bound me lay shattered, replaced by an unshakable belief in my own worth and capabilities. It was in that moment of quiet reflection that the final, unexpected chapter of my journey unfolded. A hesitant knock at the studio door drew my attention, and when I opened it, I found myself face to face with a ghost from my past. Grant himself, his once confident demeanor now diminished, his eyes haunted by the weight of his own actions. "Ivy," he began, his voice little more than a rasp. "I know I have no right to be here, but I had to see you, to try and make amends, however inadequate my efforts may be." I regarded him coolly, unmoved by his apparent contrition. Make amends? For what exactly? The years of lies, the financial ruin you left me to face? Or was it the emotional devastation you inflicted on our daughter? Grant flinched as if struck, his gaze dropping to the floor. For all of it. For everything. I was a fool, Ivy, blinded by my own ego and selfishness. I threw away the best parts of my life in pursuit of... I don't even know what anymore. His words hung in the air, heavy with remorse and regret. But even as a part of me ached to offer him absolution, to let go of the pain he had caused, a stronger part remained resolute. "Your regrets come too late, Grant," I said, my voice steady and unwavering. "I've moved on, built a life for myself that has meaning and purpose, a life that no longer has any room for the likes of you." His shoulders slumped, defeated, but I felt no pity, only a deep, abiding sense of closure. The man before me was a mere shadow of his former self, a cautionary tale of what happens when one allows their worst impulses to go unchecked. "I understand," he murmured, already retreating back into the world he had created for himself, a world of isolation and regret. I had to try, for whatever that's worth." As I watched him disappear down the street, I felt a profound sense of peace wash over me. The final chapter of Grant's role in my life had been written, and I was free to embrace the future that lay ahead, a future filled with possibility, creativity, and the unwavering support of those who truly mattered. Turning back to the studio, I was greeted by the sight of Caroline and the others, their eyes shining with pride and solidarity. In that moment, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them head-on, secure in the knowledge that I was never truly alone. For I had found my tribe, my community of resilience and transformation, and together we would continue to blaze a trail of hope and empowerment, inspiring others to find their voices and reclaim their power, just as I had done. My journey from betrayal to triumph was complete, and as I looked ahead to the future, I knew that the best was yet to come.